It's Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity, and I'm here in my garden in Vista with your succulent tip of the day. And today's tip is what to do when your clam runs completely and utterly amok. We are just coming out of summer, so I didn't want to mess with it while it was still super hot. Day in the life, right? Okay, as I was saying, my clam was subjected to the brutal summer. And you can see all of the damage, dieback, and honestly, I knew this day would come, so I just let it ride. And I'm sure you have situations like this in your garden as well, don't you? So let's just dive in. I'm going to start by evaluating what that's in here that I might want to keep. And I think I want to keep this Athona capensis. This has stayed really small and I love the way it kind of droops down. I worked really hard when I installed this garden to go very below grade here. I really wanted there to be a lot of levels. So this little droopy down is giving me life. This little aloe Dorothea too this is one that loved the heat, didn't it? She stressed up to a beautiful reddish burnt orange. Then I've got some little crassula baby's necklace here that's also very, very cute. I'm not hating this little area right here. These rosettes are in pretty good shape, but I'm not feeling the legginess. Now, this is subjective. If you like this, then leave it. There's no right or wrong here. I'm not feeling that. The little Lattismithiensis, I don't know. It's a Cotyledon Lattismithiensis, and this took a while to get going, and so I think I'm going to let that ride for now. And this cute little cactus. This is crazy how well this cactus is doing because this clam, or I should say my clam, does not have any drainage, which I don't recommend, but
No holes in your clam.
there's no holes in my clam, and that's not ideal, but this is a real shell. This is not ceramic. My clam is the real deal. So I didn't want to risk cracking it, breaking it, or destroying it. So I put this little, I think this is called a plumosa, this little cactus in here thinking, oh, it'll be temporary, but I'll be darned if it hasn't hung on, it hasn't rotted, it's done super well. So it's, not that noticeable in there, but I'm gonna leave it because I want to honor its perseverance. Okay, things I absolutely am not feeling would be this. I think this is an Echeveria Lola, and this is a plant that I love, but this is not a plant that thrived in our hot summer heat. Now, what I can do is I can clean off all of the spent leaves, like so. This one's really cute, this baby. And then I can trim it up. And I could reset this in a shadier spot in the yard, and it would likely come out of that sunburn and be just fine. So I'll set that aside for future use. This little, what the heck even is that? I don't even know. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I think we've got the umbrella situation under control now. We have applied it to a flat surface and we should be good to go. Sorry for that interruption. Okay, anywho, I was talking about this thing. And at first I thought, oh, well, I'll just trim off the spent blooms. But upon closer examination, look in the center of that. Can you see in there? Yikes, right? That is...
Crown rot? What is that?
What Hannah says, it's a crown rot. It's something. It's one thing when the leaves around the bottom die back, that's normal. But when you have that kind of devastation in the middle like that, I don't think there's any coming out of it. That's the new growth, and it's burnt to a crisp. Now, that being said, we've got a lot of little babies on this. She put off,
And they're cute.
yeah, about 8 of these. So these could be really, really cute. But I wouldn't take a cutting this small and put it back in the sun, even though it is late September now and the days are shorter and the nights are cooler and all blah, blah, blah. It's still pretty warm. So these need to go into some sort of a nursery, garden of death, somewhere protected where they can grow out a little bit before you set them back in an exposed area of your yard. And I'm just going to get rid of that. Okay, here's a couple of more very, very sad Echeveria Lolas that also, this one I think we can probably salvage, but this one I don't think so. Okay. I promise you will not have more fun in your day than doing what I'm doing right now. So I hope this motivates you to get out in your garden. Yeah, no. Yikes. This, I'm not feeling it. I mean, if this is another subjective decision. If you want to use tired old, your tired old plants, use them. They will probably recover come late fall, early winter. But I don't want it. I want my clam to be beautiful. Okay? I don't want it to look all tired and
You want it to look fresh and young.
yeah, I don't want it to look jacked up and tired and old. I want it to look young and fresh and new. So these Graptosedum are really in good shape and they can absolutely be used again. No. Nah, this stuff's all really leggy. I've got some really cool plants to pop in here too. So, the little Vera Higgins, that's one of my favorites. I love that one. You're on the right track when as you start to take stuff out, it's already looking better. Am I right?
I should have showered.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to go ham on my clam. Going ham on my clam. What do you think? Is that a good title? A good thumbnail? Okay. My little Gen Zer just shook her head at me and rolled her eyes. So maybe not. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, that felt good. Getting all this yucky off of this Agavoides. Yeah. Now see, I'm not completely without a heart. This little Athona capensis has seen better days. And could I run down to the local nursery and get a new Athona capensis? I could. But I really do think there's enough on here. If I just trim off the dead, I like it.
So you fertilized today.
I did. That's another thing today. Another tip. Now that we're getting into fall weather, if you want to sprinkle around some fertilizer and water it in gently, your plants sure would appreciate it.
But it'll bring the flies out.
It'll bring the flies out, yes. I use, actually use Citratone. It's an Espoma product that I get at the Home Depot. It's organic and it stinks like, what would you say it smelled like, Hannah?
I don't know, but if the video is
Poop?
shaky, it's because the flies are
Landing on you?
Yes, tickling me.
Yeah, the flies are landing on Hannah and tickling her. Me too. I forgot how much that stuff stunk. Okay, I think we're ready to add some new material. What do you guys think? Yeah, does this look pretty good? Let's see if we still got a few leaves here that we can yank off. Little ASMR for your listening pleasure. Okay, my clam be crunchy. Okay, all right, now here are my options. This incredible, it's a variegated Graptopetalum that I get at Oasis. These are usually available about once a year in limited numbers, and I adore it. So I'm going to pop a couple of the variegates into the clam. This phenomenal Graptopetalum pentandrum muras. Why do they do this? Why do they make it so hard? Murasaki.
Let me see
This fat plant. Color is off the chain. And then this guy, this is a little Crassula. Yeah, Crassula capitella. It's a variegated campfire. I don't use the campfires a lot because they tend to grow out and get really leggy and yucky. But short term, you can't beat this variegation, can you? The color is so cool. And then one of my favorites, of course, is the Crassula platyphylla. No?
No, yes, it's good.
Okay.
Just point.
Crassula platyphylla, which, you know, the color, you just can't beat it. So that's kind of my goal for my clam, is I want this to be a really, really colorful pop of color. Now, all of these plants, for the most part, grow at about the same rate. So I don't need to be picky about what goes in front, and what goes in the back, and what goes in the middle, and all of that. Everything is going to grow at basically the same rate. So I'm going to start with what I call the thrillers. The plants that excite me the most, which in this case would be this Mirasaki. And remember, you can take your 1 gallons apart. You don't have to plant the whole 1 gallon can, and you can trim off the roots pretty much as you want.
I can't see because of your glove.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Trim these. And the reason I'm trimming is just because I don't want to mess around with digging a really deep hole. This soil, you notice that I didn't remove all the soil. You can, you know, if your soil's full of mealybug, or, you know, you've got other concerns, you can feel free to take it all out and, put in fresh new soil and start over. But remember, as a general rule of thumb, succulents thrive in poor, rocky soil. So you don't need to worry about that if you're concerned about it being, you know, lacking nutrition or lacking vitamins or minerals or nutrients. We're not growing strawberries here, guys. Okay. How about that? Huh? See? So when you get started, it inspires, doesn't it? Just start. Don't get analysis paralysis. Don't sit here and panic about what you're going to put where. Just start putting stuff in, and each thing that you add will open up ideas for the next thing. Okay, here's that variegated campfire. I definitely don't want the whole thing in there. So again, I'm just going to trim, push off a little soil, and then I'm going to stick this right here. Hey! Oh my gosh, that's so cute. And this little baby necklace, adorable. How about that? Right? Love that. I may use more of that in here, but right now I want to get in, you know, get what I want to get in here. Okay, so we're going to do this variegate. Now I'm going to take a piece of the most variegated. I think I'll take 2 of the most variegated and pop those in right here. There's really no bad place to put things in this clam, because it can be seen, you know, from all, I mean, this is just front and center in the garden. I wanted my clam to be something that would be noticed and appreciated the minute people came out to the garden. Okay, now the platyphylla. Let's get some red going in there. My clam has not seen red in about 10 years. Okay. How about that? I want to do enough red that it's really noticeable too.
You started menopause 10 years ago?
Started menopause. Yeah, pretty much. Okay. All right. How about that? I mean, from my angle, it's looking good. How's it look from your angle, Hannah?
It looks good.
Hannah likes it. Okay, let's do some Adolphi. Sedum Adolphi. This orange sedum is just a go-to for me. Such a tough plant. And, you know, remember, coming out of the summer, you might find that your succulent garden's kind of dull. It's just not real colorful because your plants have been dormant and aren't really doing a lot. You should start to see the color come back now that the temps are cooling. Pretty, right? So pretty. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now I have this area in the back. So I'm going to do some more of the variegated campfire because this one will get a little bit tall. Okay. It'll grow more upright. So I think it'll be great in the back. So why am I not planting these things as cuttings?
I was just going to ask you that question.
Hannah was just going to ask me that question. I could probably, but because it is still warm, put one of my cuttings that, one of the ones we pulled out back. The chances of these things still burning is pretty high, but I am going to tuck some cuttings in, and I feel like these should be fairly well shaded by the plants over top of them, and I'm hoping that it will protect them from the hottest part of the sun. And also these plants that I'm popping back in as cuttings are fully acclimated. They've been living out here from the get. Okay. All right, now, because it's so fabulous, I'm going to use all of this Murasaki. I love this color so much. This is so pretty. And yes, remember, pack them in tight. And when you're doing something like this, when you're doing an arrangement, if you're going to go this way and not just put a specimen in it, if you're going to do more of a mosaic or a tapestry or a bouquet kind of a look, commit, guys. Get as much color and as much texture as you can cram into these arrangements. And remember, look at this, I'm not really planting this. I'm just kind of setting it here. And for the most part with succulents, soil is fairly optional, as are roots. So as long as my roots are just making somewhat of contact with that soil, they'll figure it out from there.
I think you have a little hole right here that you might not be able to see.
Right here?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So here's a good example of that. I'm going to take one of these Adolphis, which is tough as nails, right? This plant, I can absolutely confidently work with as a cutting. I know it. It may turn, it may get a little bit scorched. I kind of doubt it though. Tough, 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 tough plant. And I can take a cutting and just stick it right in here amongst the Lattimanthianthus, like so. See, that's a little trick. You don't always have to work with rooted plants. Just setting that in there really did the trick, didn't it? As far as covering up that hole. Okay. Then I've got a couple more openings back here. I'll tuck in another one of these variegates. And you don't have to fill the whole thing up. If you want to do a little bit of rock top dressing, I've got a little piece of lava right here. I've got some little pebbles in here. If you want to just pebble the rest of it in, you can do that. But I like the idea of going really full because, as I said, I'm very, very proud of my clam, and I want people to see it right from the get as soon as they walk out into the backyard. I want to be able to look at it and enjoy it every day. I don't want my clam blending into the woodwork. She's just in too great of a location and has way too much potential for that. So the most stuff I can cram in, the better. And throughout the season, I may pop in cuttings too, as I see maybe a little gap or an open spot. And there's no, you don't need to be jotting down the names of these plants unless you want to. There isn't really a formula, there's not Laura's recommended plants for your clam list. There's no list. It's, your choice. It's subjective. It's whatever appeals to you.
What you have access to.
Yeah, and what you have available and what you have access at your local nurseries and garden centers. Okay. All right. So I'm feeling really good about that. You know that I don't like looking at dirt. So I'm just going to take some little bit of this La Paz black stone and pop it in where I see dirt. And this little bit of top dressing too also helps preserve moisture as well as looking good. See, and I'm going to come out like this on the side a little bit. That looks cute. You know, I can take this as far as I want. I can come all the way up here, but I want to expose pieces of my clam as well. I don't want her to be completely covered up, completely bejeweled. I still want people to know that it's a clam, right?
Right, and you want to tidy up your area and we'll come back.
Yeah, let me,
Always clean up your workspace.
yeah, let me clean up my workspace and we'll come back with the grand reveal. See, that didn't take that long. Just a few minutes. My clam has been completely reinvented. I am so confident now. I am ready for a night out on the town. This has been Laura Eubanks of Design for Serenity with my annual clam refresh and your succulent tip of the day. Bye guys.